Hello, hello, and good morning, everyone. My name is Tabiso Mashaba, co-founder and CEO of These Hands Global Social and Sustainable Enterprise and project coordinator of the IDIN SADC Consortium. I'll be your moderator today, and I think we have a great panel today, and we'll be discussing how to build resilience with inclusive innovation. And all the way from many various countries, I have my three panelists. I have Ricardo, I have Alan, and I have Ina, who I'll give a chance right now to actually introduce themselves. Ricardo, hi, welcome. How are you? Maybe you can give us a 1-minute intro of yourself.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Ricardo. I'm Portuguese. I'm currently an associate fellow at the Geneva Center for Security Policy. Previously, I worked for several years at the European Union, mostly on issues related to policy making, strategic foresight, advising, the presidents, President Barroso, President Juncker. So I've been part of my professional experience has been at the EU, and I'm delighted to be part of this conversation on inclusive innovation today. Thank you for inviting me.
Hello, everyone. Greetings from Windhoek, Namibia. My name is Ina Wilkie. I run an urban permaculture farm in the informal settlements here in Windhoek. I've been working on environmental policy for the World Future Council International Foundation for many years. And now I'm also the project coordinator for the SAIS Living Permaculture project, where we innovate with shack dwellers. And that's the reason I'm here, and I'm looking forward to our discussion. Thanks.
Hello, everybody. My name is Alan. Everyone calls me Alan, but my full name is Upenyu Alan Mupambwa. I'm actually a researcher at the University of Namibia. I'm actually based in Henties Bay, here at the same Nioma Marine and Coastal Resources Research Center, where I'm leading the Desert and Coastal Agriculture Research team. I am actually a research agronomist by training, and currently I'm also the project manager of the SAIS-funded project titled Precision Desert Agriculture as a Job Creator. I'm quite delighted to be joining you colleagues on this discussion.
Wow, it's quite an honor to have all three of you in this panel. And maybe just to kick it off with a general question, what is your understanding of what is inclusive innovation? Maybe we could start with Alan, and then we'll go to Ina, and then just go back to Ricardo in just a minute of what your understanding of what inclusive innovation is.
Well, I think the name itself actually defines what it is. Inclusive innovation, it is an aspect of inclusivity, which makes it quite different from abstract innovation, where people basically create new products without involving the end users. So my understanding of inclusive innovation is actually around its ability to include the people that you are trying to create a solution using your innovation for. So it's not a case where you bring innovation to the market, but rather you create that innovation together with the people. And hence you kind of find it having much more impact. And it tends to also work for the people who are usually marginalized in communities, because much of the innovation, which is basically almost like inventions, come and they normally target the people that are at the top of the pyramid, and inclusive innovation tends to focus more on people who are at the base of the pyramid, who are the marginalized ones.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with Alan. Obviously, I think my biggest learning, or our biggest learning in the project, is that it's not only about the products or the things that we are innovating. We're just working on a solar box oven made out of cardboard, for example. It's also very much about the process.
And I have sort of the same, I share what Alan and Ina just said. It's about enlarging the conversation. It's about bringing more people into the process of innovating, of creating, of debating ideas, of addressing challenges that we face, of finding solutions and adding value. So I see that this and the process of doing it by being inclusive is actually what we also try to do in Foresight, is actually to make it more inclusive and to enlarge the conversation to voices that are not normally heard sometimes in these processes.
Just add, it's also then, okay, you have the innovation, maybe that's now good innovation, you've done it inclusive, but then how do you get it out there? So how do you get more people to build it, maybe sell it? How do you get people to buy it? And something we're learning a lot at the moment is that process also has to be inclusive. A lot of the ways we thought we could do it at the beginning of the project, we're actually now revisiting, changing, actually just taking people out there and seeing how they fend for themselves, and then integrating that into the process again.
Now we will kickstart our real panel discussion, and maybe I will start with Ina to just break down for us what this Living with Permaculture project is all about.
We are inventing together with shack dwellers in Windhoek, in Gobabis and Dodabis, two other towns in Namibia. So we looked at what are the products that people want to build. And we've limited that down to, for example, a solar box oven made out of cardboard, shack insulation made out of cardboard, a dry toilet, especially for the Windhoek scene, and backyard gardening, which is now really taking off as a COVID-19 response as well. So we're innovating with the people, and the guiding principles are permaculture principles. So it's about closing cycles. So that's a great thing for people who don't have money. So, and observing at where you are. So example, we've built a model shack where you would have the southwest, that's the hottest corner, and you would put your outdoor shower there, and you'd use the water runoff to grow maybe grapes that you can then trail onto the shack. It will shade the shack and give you privacy for your shower. That's just an example on how we use the principle of observing and of closing cycles to innovate. So that's our project. It's an 18-month project. We've just finished milestone 2, and so we're building with people.
So our project is slightly different, but I find it very interesting based on my background, where I'm coming from. I'm coming from the university, and where I basically undertake research. But being an agronomist by training, one of the major challenges that we realized, and unfortunately even today, there's a story in the newspaper about our graduates complaining about not having jobs. So our project is actually titled Precision Desert Agriculture as a Job Creator. So how we came up with this project was born out of the idea that our graduates, they graduate with qualifications that allow them to actually undertake some hands-on business, kind of a business of some sort. For example, if you graduate with a degree in agriculture, you are basically equipped with all the necessary information that you need for you to be able to start your own business if you can. But we realize there's a small lag, because the industry is basically looking for people who are actually having a lot of experience. So once they graduate, somehow they need this nurturing for them to be able to transform themselves from being fixated on being job seekers, but rather transferring the knowledge that they have into practice and become job creators for themselves. So in our project, we're actually working with a group of 10 graduates who are coming from Namibia, from all the universities which are here in Namibia. So they are not only students from the University of Namibia, but we also have students from the Namibia University of Science and Technology, who have all various backgrounds in environmental science, in agriculture, and in microbiology. And in this project, we are partnered with one of the leading agri-tech company here in Swakopmund, who are practicing desert agriculture. So we thought it would be a very nice playground for them to put their hands to experience. So they are undertaking training in precision desert agriculture, having the ability or using their knowledge to put into practice to produce crops in a hyper-arid environment like the one that you find here in Namibia. And so they are also going to get training on mushroom production here at the University of Namibia. So in a nutshell, that's what our project is working on.
And from listening from from Ina and from Alan, I think there are clear links between foresight and inclusive innovation. And I think the links. I mean, first of all, in a sense, the future is something that is shared by all. So, as one colleague of mine says, you cannot think about the future. Or you cannot plan for the future for all by just a few. So you have to enlarge this conversation. Also, from listening from both examples, I mean, innovation or inclusive innovation is very much about action. It's very much about practicing something and to get to the ground. And I see foresight very much as a call to action as well. I mean, there is no point in doing all these studies and anticipating the future and trying to deal with uncertainty if you don't then translate those insights into concrete policies and into concrete actions or plans that you can actually use to, for example, to be better prepared for a pandemic. So I think there are clear links between both areas. But I believe that the point of the inclusiveness, it's actually about representation. It's about participation, and ultimately it's about ownership. And I think our discussion is also a little bit about resilience. And I think if people do not own the projects, if people are not invested in these projects, I think it's much harder to build this resilience. And I think that foresight also has this role to play in this game, and can potentially be applied to, let's say, to an innovation cycle when you start thinking a little bit ahead. What might be the challenges that we need to face? I think in generating ideas to create new products or to create new ways of doing things, I believe that foresight can be a very, very useful tool for innovation.
Yeah, thank you so much for those comments, guys. That's really very insightful stuff. Maybe back to Ina. What impact do you think has the Living Permaculture project actually had on food security within the targeted communities that you're working with?
Food security, I think it's for us, it's a direct objective, food and nutrition security, but it's also an indirect objective. So it then comes through people earning more money and being able to, buy food. So we just did a survey with about half of the people we've been working with. Definitely, so one answer was that people do eat differently. Those are mainly the people that have been on the farm for a longer time already. So they're growing stuff there, and they are clearly saying, we are eating more vegetables now, so we're looking at food differently. And interestingly, if we have some extra money, we actually buy healthy food. And but for this innovation project, I just looked it up. So 64% said that they have started backyard gardening around their shacks after our programs. So that they actually went into implementation, and we're trying to emulate that. So we're setting up people as like knowledge hubs. They get like tool sets, they get seeds, and they're encouraged to start a seed business. Because if you want to buy seeds, you got to take a taxi to Agra that already costs you $15 Namibian. If you can buy a packet of seeds for that price directly in the settlement, then we've got a business there. So this is something that people have invented as a sort of outreach, and that's what we're setting up at the moment. So we're doing like workshops nearly every Saturday, backyard gardening amongst the shacks, and we're focusing on the people who are doing the training. And those are our champions, and they have to use this project now to set themselves up with a business so that we get a bit of sustainability into that outreach.
Nice. Thank you for sharing that. Alan, given that you're working on the Precision Desert Agric project, what would you say is the way in which, given the current COVID-19 pandemic, your project has a tie-in into assisting people, particularly those that we're working with in the inclusive innovation space, a chance to be able to be resilient?
In this COVID era, we have actually realized the importance of being food self-sufficient, not only at household level, but actually at even at national level as a country. And part of what we are actually promoting within the project is to develop innovative technologies that can actually assist not only people who are living at the top of the pyramid, but actually people who are also at the bottom of the pyramid. For example, in what INA is actually looking at when they are trying to have household gardens, what kind of technologies can be designed together. I see a lot of synergies in what you are doing and what the Precision Desert Agriculture Project can actually be able to come in to feed into, so that these people who are actually at the bottom of the pyramid or at the base of the pyramid can actually be involved in creating innovative ideas together with people with the knowledge, so that they can come up with technologies that can actually be used, for example, to produce vegetables in a hyper-arid environment like the one that you have here in Namibia, where nutrients are very expensive and water is also very expensive. You can use technologies like hydroponics. But sometimes when you talk about hydroponics, it's usually like, rocket science, but this is technology that can be adopted by a person who's living in a shack. They can have a small hydroponic table at their house and be able to harvest vegetables at a very limited cost in terms of water and nutrition. So this can actually improve the nutrients that this person will then have in their diet, which has been very critical in this COVID era. So I see a lot of synergies in what INA is doing and what we have been doing as a project.
Ricardo, as a foresight person, what would you say is the linkage between foresight and inclusive innovation? Where's the linkage there? And where do you see that inclusive innovation, can be used in this foresight type of work? Particularly like Alan just mentioned, everybody just wants to start a business and, go into business and do business. But maybe they need to see some form of foresight and adopt some form of inclusive innovation techniques to be able to get there. What can you advise? What can you share with us with regards to the linkages between the two?
Thank you, Taviso. Thank you very much for the question. I think there are clear links between foresight and inclusive innovation. Like I said, it's about ideas, it's about addressing challenges. Of course, foresight sometimes is more there to anticipate the challenges before we are confronted with them. That's at least that's the objective. So, foresight is not about prediction, but it's more about trying to anticipate what might be the futures that we are faced. And I think in the current context also, and like you're mentioning, people want to open business. There's a lot of entrepreneurs that want to get on with their ideas. I think foresight can have a role there in a sense that can help leaders and entrepreneurs and young people, especially if it's done in an inclusive way. Again, bringing more people into the conversation can actually not only, find collaborations, find synergies. I understand that at some point, these are also businesses, so they are competing. But I think at the beginning, at the start of ideas of putting things together, I believe that there's a lot of synergies. And I think that when you think, let's say, when you're thinking about the future of sub-Saharan Africa, it's the whole region. I understand that there are different, regional differences between countries and all of that. But if you want to look at, let's say, the key trends that are shaping, sub-Saharan Africa, this is something that, let's say, a coalition of entrepreneurs could potentially do a project like this. Let's think about what are the key trends that will shape our operations in the future, or even in light of COVID-19. As it has been discussed, in many places, what are the effects of COVID-19? Of course, we're not out of the pandemic yet, but it's clear, for example, that the digital divide is going to be even accentuated, it's going to be sharpened. Poverty, actually, we're going to, according to studies from the World Bank, we're probably likely in 2022 to add 100 million people to extreme poverty. This is the first time that this happened since 1998. It's basically wiping out all the progress that had been done since 2017. So clearly there are arguments that we need to think about the future, and we need to do it together in an inclusive way. And so I believe that this can, and so marrying, foresight and innovation and doing it in an inclusive way, for me, seems quite intuitive. It's the way to go. It's the way to try to precisely to be able to anticipate some of these events, so that entrepreneurs are more resilient to face when some of these events, eventually they will happen. And so we need to be better prepared for them. So I think that's the role that foresight can play in this context.
Yeah, following on what you, Ricardo, just said, we're talking about resilience, and yeah, we actually had a really good experience in building resilience in this COVID time, because we came out of our programs and suddenly there was lockdown. And so we thought, what are we going to do? And we thought, let's build tippy taps. So that's this thing where you need a bottle and you need a pedal and a string and you tip it and you can wash your hands with soap. And so we focused on the people who were building it. We signed 28 people up who had been in our programs, and we gave them some material, but most of it was recycling. We went to the recycling pace and everything. And so I thought, okay, let's do the Windhoek 2020 Tippy Tap Challenge. Let's build 2020 Tippy Taps in 6 weeks. So these people went out, they had to log every Tippy Tap with a WhatsApp photo. And within 3 weeks, we built 2,300. And if I walk through the settlements now, they're still there. And people are actually saying it's changed completely our hand washing. And, other NGOs are building much more. But what I liked about it is that our people, they had to go out, they had to look at the shack, they had to say, okay, where's the entrance? Where are people coming? Can we hang it here? Can we use that tree? So they had to start thinking, I haven't got any wire, how can I do it without? Thinking about how can we address this situation in a way that the people who are doing it for are actually using it, and how can we actually implement it? Can we actually get it off the ground? And that worked really, really well. And now the young people, they're all shack dwellers, youth mainly. They work for. We get requests from other NGOs and from the city of Windhoek. Can you build us 100 tippy taps here and there? So these people have suddenly found a bit of a business there, and so. I think that's, for me, is resilience. These people actually going somewhere, looking what they have, where's the sun, where's the water, where's the people, and then building something that then improves the situation. And so it doesn't really matter if this is now a tippy tap or what it is. The resilience is in the person who's learned to build something out of what they can get. So that's I think a good example for how do you build resilience through inclusive innovation.
Quite interesting what you did there, Ina. It's very impressive, and you can see again how it helps with the resilience is the fact that whatever you were working on ticks on all the boxes that I thought when you are looking at inclusive innovation, the impact, the desirability, the viability, and everything else. And I will still repeat the same point that I tried to say. One of the challenges that even our graduates have is when they want to come up with an innovation, they are not looking at the inclusivity part of it. And you find out that they tend to create even innovations that then do not have an impact, that not tick all those boxes. And their businesses, they don't become resilient, and they sometimes crash in the face of very small challenges. And I'm quite impressed. I've even seen that tippy tap even here in Swakopmund, in one of the locations there, and a lot of people use it, and it has a really huge impact in the face of COVID.
If I could give an advice to leaders or decision makers in the region, is that you need to embrace, I think, both inclusive innovation, but also foresight or anticipatory governance or preparedness. These are nowadays, I think, the COVID-19. We've been advocating this for a long time. Me and my colleagues. I think the COVID-19 pandemic has brought this home very clearly. We need to be better prepared for these type of events, and for that, I think. This needs to be fostered, needs to be embraced by decision makers. We need to have the enabling environment that allows these activities to happen. Because foresight does not happen by chance. Foresight, if it happens, it's by design. And I would say that inclusive innovation or innovation needs to be purposefully designed, needs to be happening, needs to be supported. So and especially if we want to be able to tackle the challenges that will come, that will necessarily result from the pandemic, we need to embrace these activities. The examples that Alan and Ina, again, for me, are very interesting because they show how, people participating in solving their own problems and the problems of their community has brought ownership and has brought care about these things and has brought new ideas to the table. So I think you need to do this more and not less, and not see that new ideas or different ideas are actually bad. They're not, they're good. I think the diversity, and especially in an era where there's so much polarization, we need to be able to be better at putting ourselves in everyone else's shoes and try to understand what are their problems and where are they coming from, to be able to build something that is shared and that we can all, gain from. So I think try to do this in a win-win situation. So if I encourage something, do more foresight, do more innovation, and if you're going to do innovation, do it inclusively. Bring more people on board.
Yeah, very, very interesting foresight there, Ricardo. And I think what you said covers all. And from the research aspect, it's also very, very important to note that if I would advise anyone or someone on a policy kind of system, research needs to only not become abstract research which focuses on only invention, but rather tries to look at innovation that is which is inclusive, because that inclusivity has been lacking in research, even at academic institutions. Hence, you find there are a lot of innovations that are out there, but they do not tick those boxes that sit with inclusive innovation. And we still have people who are at the base of the pyramid who are struggling with poverty, with a lot of scientific information that is out there, because it has not been focused in an inclusive way. So research has to be done in an inclusive way so that the results actually involve the person who's struggling with the challenge and the person who's trying to create the solution, so that whatever solution comes out there is a marriage between the person who's interested and the person who's undertaking the research. And it's quite interesting that even the University of Namibia is now focusing its direction towards that, instead of just looking at abstract research, which is basically like inventions and things. We are more on innovation, but we still need to make a move towards inclusivity of our innovations.
I actually want to connect to what Alan said before, is that food and nutrition security is something that is clearly, this crisis is showing us we need to be food and nutrition secure as a country as Namibia. We can't be importing most of our food, and there's no reason for it. And I think so that's the important topic, and the way to address it is to be inclusive, and is to go at a grassroots level. If you look, for example, how did in the countries where renewable energy was suddenly taken up, it was like a feed-in tariff. It was you create a situation where people can buy into on a very small level, on a larger level, can actually buy into it, produce energy. So why can't we do this with food? Why can't we create an enabling framework, an environment where people benefit from starting their own food production, and and enable them to do that? And so I think for a country like Namibia, there you get no poverty, zero hunger. You tick your first SDGs all in one box. So I think focusing on inclusive development of food security and food and nutrition security would be a great thing for us here.
Thank you so much, Ina, Ricardo, and Alan, for a great session. It was truly insightful learning from all three of you. And I would like to encourage everybody at home there and yourselves to please just stick around for a live Q&A, where we will get questions from our audience out there regarding this particular amazing topic that we were having a chat about. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much, colleagues, for this very, very interesting discussion. And I will take over from Tabiso, who led the whole discussion. And now we are in for the questions that we got. And I would like to start with maybe Ricardo to just address a question. If resilience and passion work together to break into a market and to keep a product in this market, will a person be successful? Would you care to try and give a response to that, Ricardo?
Sure. I mean, I'm not. Good morning, everyone. I'm delighted to be part of this conversation. As I said, I mean, I'm not an entrepreneur. I'm not a business person, but I can certainly tell you that I mean, you cannot be successful without being resilient and having a passion for what you do. So I mean, but I think these are necessary conditions, but they are not sufficient. I would say that to bring a little bit my contribution is that we also need to add to this foresight and innovation, so to say, because this will be the only way, and especially again when we just discussed this in the context that we are of a globe, I mean of a pandemic, and where there's so much uncertainty. I think business leaders, entrepreneurs, wherever they are, I think they need to be better at trying to anticipate, because also trying to anticipate what might be ahead might also help you to be even more innovative, because you're trying to already to identify what might be the needs of future generations or of people that are in your communities, in your countries, in your regions. So I think these are necessarily, resilience and passion are definitely part of the equation, but also foresight, anticipation, trying to be a little bit ahead of your game. And again, like I've been saying, throughout, and we all said, bring more people on board, bring others to the discussion, because diversity of views and also of experiences and needs are certainly going to make your life as an entrepreneur more successful. Thank you very much, Alan.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, quite interesting. Sure. I really fully agree with you that, resilience and passion are really key, but you also need to marry it with, for example, the subject that we have been discussing the whole day today about inclusive innovation. Foresight, having foresight is very, very important. So you wouldn't want to only have resilience and passion for you to be successful, but rather you would like to marry it with exactly the points that you have pointed out there. Another question I'm sure will go to Ina, and it's about resilience and COVID-19. Ina, would you care to answer, if resilience is willpower, what is passion in a business after COVID-19? A very interesting question there.
Yeah, difficult question. I want to agree with Ricardo on that. A passion is great, willpower is great. You need that in an individual and in an organization, but with it alone, I don't think you're going to get very far. So I think COVID has shown a lot of weaknesses in sort of a lot of systems that we are in. And so I think inclusive innovation has a bit of an answer to the problems we are facing here. And if you talk to the people in the settlements, surviving in the face of adversity is not a new situation. So now it's COVID. So I'm sort of hoping we can do a bit of leapfrogging here and use that resilience that has been built and is building, and by injecting some inclusive innovation into the system, and then building even more resilience. So yeah, I hope that's the way we can go here. And I think these permaculture principles all across the planet, they're going to be a big hit over the next years. People are battening down the hatches everywhere, checking what they have, what they can do, how they can grow food, and that's the way to go.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think this question also links to what Ricardo tried to address in the first question, because it's speaking about resilience and passion. And I mean, COVID-19 has actually exposed us to realize that it's not only passion that you require in business for you to be successful, but rather you need to bring in foresight, and it's quite interesting. No one could ever focus that the world was going to be shut down for the next 6 or so months. And yeah, so you need really foresight, and you need to have inclusive innovation in whatever business that you are trying to create. All right. The third question, I think I'll try to take this one. How does one get the innovation out there to the market? And this is quite an interesting question. And again, it points to what we have been having a discussion on the whole morning. on focusing on inclusive innovation, because innovation alone is more like invention on its own. But when you look at it from an inclusive innovation perspective, you tend to realize that you are involving the people that you are trying to create a solution for. So if you are trying to take an innovation to the market, you have to have strategies, because sometimes it's very difficult for you to squeeze yourself into a market that is flooded with a lot of innovation. So you have to look into things of how can I partner with already established businesses. For example, if you are dealing in an agriculture business, you wouldn't want to open your own stall, but you can partner with already established businesses, create partnerships with your innovation. And then I'm quite sure, it is very effective if you partner with people who are already established, which again brings the idea that Ricardo is always mentioning about foresight. So before you even start creating your innovation or developing your innovation, you need to have foresight. Who are you going to negotiate with? Take this idea to these people who are already in the business and try to see how they can be able to partner with you, so that once you have your innovation and you want to take it to the market, you already have discussions with people that are already established. Because I mean, it's a very sad reality that when you are alone, you can walk fast, but you cannot walk far. So you would really want, a lot of people to assist you so that you can be able to walk further, so that your business can be able to go further. So partnerships will be very critical in getting your innovation out there to the market. And it seems like these are the three questions that we had for our session. And it's been very, very interesting discussion, colleagues. And I would just like to ask for any final thoughts from the panelists. Ricardo, would you like to add anything regarding our topic on building resilience with inclusive innovation?
But again, as we see also, I mean, digital technologies are great. They allow us to be in so many different parts of the world to do these things, but they are not perfect. So, I mean, what I would say now for the next, for this conversation is that, I mean, let's be bold, let's be courageous. I mean, we are going through a very difficult period. I think globally, this has, has been an impact the world, but the consequences of this pandemic are not the same everywhere. So what I would say is that we need to precisely use these tools that we have of inclusive innovation, foresight to build resilience, and to try to actually be better prepared for the future. Because certainly we will also take lessons from this moment. And again, thank you very much for having me this morning. And again, be bold, be courageous, and go forward with your projects.
Thank you so much, Ricardo, for that. Unfortunately, we are coming to the end of our session, and because of time, I'm really positive about the discussion that we had and how we can build resilience using inclusive innovation. So, like Ricardo says, focus and let's go for it, colleagues. And thank you so much to the audience for taking time to listen to our discussion. And have a good day and enjoy the weekend. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Alan. Bye.